This is Speak On It, another edition, another episode of our effort to bring about awareness of this heroin opioid epidemic, particularly in State Rep. LaShawn Ford's district, the Chicago West Side Heroin Opioid Task Force. My name is Malik. We have a guest tonight, as you can see. And she'll tell you everything you need to know in a minute. But because we got a guest and because time is short and I don't want to do too much, there's a few things we want to share as we come into this. And the reason is simple. Wednesday, something very potentially historical happened in City Hall concerning the marijuana distribution as it relates to family-friendly areas where dope will be sold and downtown. And I just have to say, you know what I'm saying? So what are you saying? It's okay to smoke dope that now you call a drug to make money for whatever reason in the Negro community and sell it in the Negro community, but you can't do it downtown? Oh, yeah, all right. You're almost telling it on yourself, because we knew it ain't gonna turn out like that. And today, they've been talking about it all day, that some special interest group is gonna get a set aside. The people that really put the mayor in office gonna get a set aside to possibly have some of those spots in the areas. I ain't gonna get into that, but I might. We're gonna talk about how this whole idea of dope, when it's in our community, become drugs. And because the guest works with a very effective service provider in our community, she's gonna put it in a professional way. It won't be straight raw like mine. And I know y'all looking forward to that. But we're gonna throw a little video up here, and then we're gonna make a couple more comments, and then we're gonna just give the whole flow, the whole show, to the system. All right, brother, let's look at this whatever you got lined up. Now, what that says is that more people died last year from heroin overdoses than gun violence. And the last guest told you the same thing. So, we got soldiers across the water protecting the ground from which this heroin opioid dope come from. But now it's killing more of us here than the gun violence they talk about all the time. That's a hell of a thing. Now the piece we want you to do is just a reminder. It didn't happen yesterday, but it's still relevant. And what that's about is this. We had a situation where some people OD'd, and we're going to look at this video. It's a very short video, but it's just to remind you of what's happening in our neighborhood. Once again,
14 people within a few blocks.
I hope y'all can hear the volume, but you get the flavor.
Sold by someone trolling the East Garfield Park neighborhood in a silver sedan. One person died. 5 people dropped on one corner alone, Homan and Chicago. A Chicago police officer gave Narcan, the drug that reverses an overdose, to 2 separate victims.
I came outside, I saw the fire trucks, the ambulance, looked like a captain from the fire department, so we felt that somebody had died or OD'd.
People who live around the 700 block of South Homan say all the vacant lots and buildings make it easier for dealers to sell. That is why they have iron fences around their homes to keep users and sellers out. Plus, the ease of getting on and off the Eisenhower Expressway makes this a hotbed for drugs.
It's becoming a problem. Yeah.
Has it been a problem for a while?
For a while, several years. Several years, but it hasn't been where people were falling out.
Those who have lived here for decades have seen crime come and go, but the drug trade has lingered for years. They hear sirens all day and are afraid to let their children leave the house.
There are children around here, you know, and they shouldn't have to play in the back because it's too much crazy activity going on in the front. We need help, and they're not helping us.
So Chicago police are still investigating what exactly happened and who.
Now, that was a hell of a thing. We need help, but they are not helping us. I want to say that again. We need help, and they are not helping us. Well, LaShawn Ford, a couple of years ago, he and some other people on the West Side, they got together and they came up with the West Side Heroin and Opioid Task Force, and that's what brings us here today. And tell us who you are.
Well, my name is Mary Kemper. I'm the department manager over the Alcohol and Other Department at Habilitator Systems.
Okay.
Habilitator System been around for 30 plus years, doing a great job providing multiple services for individuals in need, including individuals with substance use or substance abuse disorders.
Okay.
The CEO is Donald Dew. COO is Dr. Karen Dixon.
Okay.
And when our goal at Habilitator to be able to understand the clients we work with as a whole, which means that we analyze and we assess all levels of need in order to determine and to make sure that the clients get all the needs that is needed. And so at Habilitator System, we provide a range of different services. So even though I'm the department manager over the Alcohol and Other Drug Department, we also have a host of other services that we do provide for the clients in the community.
Okay.
And so even for the Alcohol and Other Drug Department, we have a recovery home for women. We also have a halfway house for men. We have outpatient services for level 1 and level 2 intensive outpatient services. And we also have DUI services. We work with both the youth and adolescents as well as in adults.
Okay.
We have community housing for individuals who've been diagnosed with mental health disorders. We have community housing for them as well. And we have a developmental disability program as well, where we have a job training, employment and training program for them, where we teach them job skills, as well as, and we do have housing for that population as well. We have the Triage Center on 4133 West Madison Street as well, which is one of our main location when it comes down to crisis. And so that location is a 24-hour facility, and it also open. And what we do there is to, when individuals come in, we assess the level of need and make sure they get the assistance that is needed. And so we work with a host of different agencies, the police department, hospitals, and Allendale Christian Center, a lot of different agencies as well as partners, as we work with them to make sure we are able to assess all level of need. And then we also have the Restorative Justice Program, and we have mental health, substance abuse, we have MI case management programs. So we have a lot of different services that we are offering through Habilitator System because we understand the integrated approach. And so what that means is when we assess the client's needs, we kind of look at all areas of what is needed in the client's life, because it's all about the client. So in order to effectively provide services, we have to be able to assess, okay, is there housing issues, or is there substance use? Is there any co-occurring diagnosis with an individual who's been diagnosed with both substance use disorder as well as a mental health disorder? Is there any medical concerns? And so we kind of analyze and kind of look at what everything look like as a whole for the clients we work with, because we want to be effective and providing quality, enhancing the quality of life in the clients that we are working with. And so we does a lot of things. Even as we were speaking about the opioid epidemic, our CEO and COO had actually a couple of months ago provided training for all staff. It's a train the trainer program that we had a lot of our staff and managers and things in that format that come and was trained in the Narcans to be able to administer that, as well as in train clients and client family to kind of reduce the death that's related to that. And so one of our goals is to be proactive and to understand not only the population that is of need, but also what can we do as an agency to provide what is needed and to be effective and intentionally to provide what is needed for those clients. And so even for the alcohol and other drug department, where we have the recovery home and top of the house, we are intentional to provide not only the substance use treatment component, but we understand that they are dealing with chronic homelessness as well. And so, and many of them is not employed, and we know research have shown that individuals who obtain employment and recovery stay helps prevent relapse.
Right.
And so we look at all those components, we put things in place, we work with different agencies and jobs and things in that format to kind of make sure that they are able to get all the assistance they need, so when they leave our program, they could be reintegrated back into the community. And so when we look at the opiate crisis, we have to be realistic of what is the cause of it.
That's right.
And so we look at, the different, the prescribed medication, the fentanyl that's been laced in a lot of different drugs and things in that format that's causing a lot of the overdose and things in that format. But we want to be proactive. So how do we become proactive? So there's different ways to be proactive. One is training staff and the clients and the families to use the Narcan to prevent death. But how do we get to the place before we have to prevent a death? And so we have to continue to bring forth the awareness and educate the community on what the opioid epidemic is about and the cause and effects of it as well. And so, and also how does it affect the body, and the brain, and how it binds to the receptors and things in that format. Even though it may relieve the pain temporarily, it still have a strong effect because now you become addicted to it, and it be a lifelong addiction. And so have a lot of different effects in so many different ways. And so we have, as a community, have to be realistic with what is actually needed.
Well, y'all, I don't want to do her like that. You see that? How did that feel? Was it all right? You weren't nervous?
No.
You didn't look nervous. I told her I didn't want to stand at the camera. Talk to me. We ain't talking to you. We got a call. All right, call. Speak on it.
Good evening, Dr. Malik.
Good evening, sir.
How you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Times I'm going to have to say, it's always going to be a way, and I'm not going to say all white folks is bad, but it's enough of them, where they come up with a way where they can make money off of us. And when they first freed black folks, they came up with sharecropping. If I'm wrong about anything, once again, stop me dead in my tracks. I don't mind. I can make a mistake as well. And we look in terms of the drug epidemic, once again, there's some guy looking like Colonel Sanders, and they cut us all up in very different pieces, and people making money left and right. And we look at the prison industrial system, once again, there's somebody making money. They don't want to educate a child, but yet they will spend $60,000 a year to house them instead of giving them a decent education. They don't want that, so they won't be able to compete with their little white boys and girls. And we look at all the various type of health problems we have, guess what? We lead in everything. But if you white, you don't have certain types of problems at all. Now, once again, if I'm wrong about anything, please correct me.
No, I don't think you're wrong. I think you know, like I know, and anybody else that ain't in denial know that what you say is true. And I think one of the things that we have to look at, and that's one of the things I can say about HSI, I had the opportunity to work for HSI for a few years. And not only did you work for HSI, you become part of HSI.
Yes.
And it's sort of like once you have gone through that, because they always train you, they always making you better.
Yes.
And I thought I was already on it when I went, but I came out better. So what the sister did as she presented the services they are doing, and I think because it's located right in the heart of the hood. Now, where are you all located?
Our main location is 415 South Kilpatrick, right here on the west side of Chicago. And two, I do agree that when it comes down to the substance being brought into the community, yes, many individuals try to capitalize on that. However, us as agencies, as a community, we work together to kind of be more proactive so we won't have to fall into that trend.
Right.
And so in order to break the trend, we have to be prepared to combat anything that comes up into the community. And so part of HSI Go is to be able to identify those needs and to be able to expand services in the areas that's needed. And so in order to do that, we have to work together as a team
Right.
and partner together in order to fight the epidemic crisis of drug use or opiate uses or things in that format. And so we have to be able to identify it's not just me, but we work together as a community as a whole. And one thing I would say about the HSI and our leadership as well as the staff, we have a passion for what we do.
That's true.
And so it's not about, the money, it's about how can we provide the services that is needed for the client. And so when you go to research, you have to be client-centered.
Right.
Every client may be going through something similar, but how you reach that client may be completely different because their background, their culture may be different. They may have different religions, genders and things in that format. All these things play a significant factor on how you reach the client. And we want to be intentionally and making progress and effective in what we're providing for the clients we work with.
And that's good. And one of the things that I'm glad to know is that staff in these agencies are becoming more compassionate in it. It ain't just a job. It's a work. And a lot of people think, well, I'm going to my job. Yeah, you can go to your job, but a work is a different type of situation.
Right.
You got an investment not just for the check, but for the result.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I know come out of HSI, and I can see it come out of you. I just saw you the first time today, and I like your energy. I like your spirit. You ain't scared. Let them see let them see your face. There you go. That's good. I didn't want them thinking I was trying to hide you. I ain't
No,
trying to hide them.
not at all.
No. But she did say something, and I had a conversation with somebody today. Now I want y'all to listen to this shit. Somebody has a relative that they was fitting to put in hospice, but the family say bring her home. Now this is back to that dope thing. Now, when they think you're gonna have a few weeks, they give you some morphine, handle the pain. But when the system, this is back to the caller's point, money. But when the system think they have drained all of the money they wanna invest in a person that's in hospice because the doctors in the hospitals have ran out of options to suck more money out of the system, they bring that fentanyl. What you call it? So they put that on their body, the patch. So this person said, man, we took that thing off. So they was just laying there dying. They just going into it. Well, hell, that's why they put them in hospitals and send them home for them to die. And what they were trying to do is take it off to make it more bearable to die. But it ain't easy for the family. But what happened, according to this person, and this is what you all need to understand, how that killer drug, which is 100 times more deadly than heroin, how that get mixed with heroin. So what people do, they steal the morphine. So now the police come and they go all in the toilet to be sure that y'all ain't stole it. But all the people got to do is police reports saying they stole it. So that morphine hits the street. That's what's happening. And then you take that patch, and they done figured out a way to milk the patch, suck out the juice that's killing the person that's headed to the graveyard, you feel me? And rerun it, so by the time the person in the street get hooked to what they thought was just regular dope, now they got death from somebody that's just left here. Now that sounds sort of ugly, don't it? Yeah, that's what I wanted you to say. That's what we're doing. See, this drug that they are using in the street is a killer drug. It's like back in the day, before your day. You can't be that old. I don't know how old you are, but you wasn't back here. Back in the day when most cigarettes came out, them long, pretty cigarettes, they was baptizing those cigarettes, y'all remember? In embalming fluid. Can you imagine? They going around smoking a cigarette that he know been put in dead folk juice. And now you smoking, or you doing whatever you're doing with what you're doing, that street drug that's killing you, and that's another what? Dead folk juice. Because they use it to help a person die in peace. And I say this to you all, so you ought to go get you all some Narcan. Because when you pop them with that needle, that syringe, and they got that dead folk juice in them, whew, they coming up out of the grave. So you need to know how to save them. And you need to be able to tell them that smoking that dope, for whatever reason you are doing it, is smoking death. Right or wrong?
Yes, that's true.
Man, I just wanted to ask you. Now, tell me about the alcohol. Let me say this. Because one of the things, something else, Fed worker, he worked for the government, he was telling me the other day. Not only is vaping nicotine a problem, man, Lightfoot, I know you already know because I know you the law. You better be careful. Y'all going around here promoting that dope, marijuana, but they vaping marijuana too. So they're going to be sitting up wherever they are. They're going to be sitting there vaping. And you're going to think everything cool. And they got some dope right there in your face in City Hall. You understand me? That's why Trump saying, I don't want them having that flavored cigarettes or whatever you call it, vaping. Because they get addicted, and they right. Somebody gave me a teaspoon full of gin. Great. Boy, it was off the chart. I said, damn, I don't drink. Man, I guess, give me a shot of that. It was good. Then I got hold of some pineapple rum. Man, that flavor stuff will get you addicted. And here we are saying that it's okay to just do all of the marijuana you want to do because we need it. We need the money. Okay, that's cool. Just know the consequences. And I know we're running out of time. What is your position on this gateway drug that used to be marijuana? How do that fit into this whole possible setup of getting off into heroin, opioid, and other serious?
Well, all drugs could become addictive.
Uh-huh.
And so when you look at it, I look at it as the prevention part of it, as well as in the treatment component. And so when you look at it more of a treatment component, you kind of had to look at it, okay, is it a recreational use? Is it self-medicating? Is it a prescribed medication? What is the cause of the addiction? And so when you look at it from different components, it kind of helps you to understand what approach to take.
Okay.
Because many times when you deal with substance use, in order to change the behavior, you got to change the perception of how they perceive the drug. And so it could be a cycle of understanding the perception of why they use, how does it relates to the emotions and feelings and attachment to it, as well as how does it change the behavior. And so there's many different components that we kind of analyze to look at to determine, okay, what does the client need as a whole. And then when it comes down to substance, anything could become an addiction, not just substance, right? Not just drugs and alcohol, but you have gambling and you have shopping and you have so many other things. But understanding the dynamic of that disorder helps you to become more open to obtaining the treatment that is needed. And so when you think about the marijuana use, yes, in original state statistics, it was always utilized it was considered a gateway drug.
Right.
However, marijuana have a lot of different side effects, not only on the mind, but the psychological,
That's right.
emotionally, and physically as well. And so we have to be able to look at that and see how does these different substances affect the brain that cause the cravings, the body that wants to crave the substance, as well as in how does it affect the physical well-being of the client as well as a whole. And so in order to really tap into what is effective, we have to look at all components and to be able to analyze what is needed in that situation. And so, yes, it was considered as a gateway drug, but right now they're going into a place of prescribing it.
Right.
And so we got to look at what is the potential risk and harm that comes along with that as well. Because we could analyze and see what it was doing as far as in the gateway drug, but now that it become more potent, things in that format, we have to analyze how this is going to affect individual that's utilizing it.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm glad that Mr. Dew and Dr. Dixon sent you. She's very, very good, y'all. She's a tickler. You know what I'm saying? I asked her, I said, well, how you get off into this? You don't look like you would be doing this. She said, you can't tell by nobody's appearance what they be doing. Excuse me? I guess you say, senior citizens, stay in your lane and stop trying to tell me how I'm supposed to be. We out of here. Thanks a lot.